Hey guys, welcome back. It's Nate Rio here from naterio.tv, and on today's episode of Nate Rio Interviews, I have the honor to speak to Bill and Michelle Pescosolido. So if you're not familiar with Bill and Michelle, they are social media experts dominating the Facebook marketing arena. And they are close to earning $1 million in one of their high ticket marketing programs. That's with MOBE, which is My Own Business Education. So got to chat with them for about an hour today. And some of the things they're talking about are how they've started from getting into network marketing and then segueing into online marketing and affiliate marketing. And that's where they're in right now. And that's where they're making the majority of their income. And then also how their entrepreneurship is currently being passed down to their children, and they currently have a daughter who makes pretty significant money on Facebook as well. So they'll talk a little bit about that, and then also they have an affinity for their brand new pet guinea pig. So we talk about that in this episode as well. So we'll load up the call here and enjoy.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, guys, welcome. This is Nate Rio here with MOBE, and thanks for joining us tonight. This is the Elite Earners Call, and tonight we have very special guests joining us. We have Diamond Consultants Bill and Michelle Pescosolido joining us from the great state of Texas over here in the USA. And for those of you who are not familiar with them, which I'm sure a lot of you already are, they are, as I mentioned, Diamond Consultants. They are creeping up on the $1 million mark of earned commissions with MOBE. So we're going to go through today and hear their story, and they can tell us how they got started and how they've built their business to where it's at today. So a couple other things that they've accomplished. They're obviously 6 and creeping up on the 7-figure earners club, and then also they're MOBE Motors recipients, which means they get a nice car paid for every month by MOBE. And then they've built quite the business and legacy, so to speak, with doing some social media marketing. So we'll dive into that tonight. So without further ado, here we have Bill and Michelle Pescosolido. So you guys hear me okay?
Hey, Nate, how are you? Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yep, perfectly. Thank you for having us.
You bet. My pleasure. So how are things down in Texas for you guys today?
Things are amazing. The weather is beautiful. I feel like this is our first year to be enjoying our new pool in our backyard. We actually had it built last year, but it wasn't really done till towards the end of the summer. So this year it's kind of awesome to be able to experience it during the nice weather in the spring.
Yeah, I got a chance to see that online. That looks great. I'll have to make sure I stop by sometime when next time I'm in Texas. So that's awesome. So
absolutely. Now, swing on by.
Yeah, look forward to it. So what we'll do today, guys, is let's a lot of people out there listening might be familiar with you guys. We see a lot of Bill and Michelle on Facebook and social media, and so let's kind of go back to the beginning and tell us your story going from maybe working your professional jobs. I know you guys both have a professional background working in corporate careers and things like that, and then kind of segue that into how you started in along the entrepreneurial ventures, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll go first because that's kind of where it all started. I had actually, when you say professional career, I would say that, I was always the type of person that had that entrepreneurial mindset. I can remember back in my, early 20s, selling purses on eBay, trying to make some additional income, which I was doing pretty good. I'd go down to this little shop in Houston off of Harwood Street and buy these little $10 purses with like dog faces on them and go on eBay and sell them for $20, and I was shipping like 400 purses a month out.
Wow.
So I was doing really well, and then decided, that just wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. There was always something else out there that I knew that I wanted to do. So I was always dabbling into different, entrepreneurial, type businesses. Trying to sell children's clothing. It was so funny the other day. I pulled out of we had this extra bedroom that has a drawer full of just things that we had, just stashed away, and I pulled out these little onesies that I had actually made for dogs. Do you remember that? And I was trying to sell them on Etsy. It was like, I forgot what it, like a fire hydrant, like this little saying that you would put on a dog. Well, that didn't sell obviously too well because I'm obviously not still doing that. But always had an entrepreneurial mind spirit. But you know, ended up realizing after going through some, you know, which turns out to be a very good event, but going through a divorce back in my early 30s and realizing that, you know, I needed to land a real job to be able to take this before I even met Bill, to be able to take care of the, you know, our 2 kids, and ended up going back to college and graduating with a double degree in psychology and child development, and landed myself a job for $10 an hour. Kids on our street were getting paid more babysitting, as we like to put it, than I was. You know, for me, it was really heartbreaking because I had always committed to being a stay-at-home mom, taking care of the kids myself, you know, taking them to their doctor's appointments, being there for their school events and things like that. So it was really difficult for me. And, you know, during that process, I met Bill, which has just been a huge blessing in my life, and, you know, turned everything around for me. And, you know, we started kind of building a life together. And, you know, basically, you know, these kids became his kids, and we, you know, for me, it was hard, you know, because I wanted to be, you know, a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be somebody who was there for him also, because I tend to be a little bit of that, you know, I do have that traditional characteristic inside of me where I want to be that stay-at-home mom and take care of my husband, believe it or not. And so I had to decide, you know, what can I do? And a friend of mine back then had introduced me to network marketing, and I joined it for like $75 back then, and I looked at this as, man, this is a way. This is a way for me to be able to stay at home with the kids, get me back at home so I can be with them. And you know, I enjoyed working with the children with autism. It was great, but it just didn't pay much, and I was mentally exhausted. I'd get home, didn't just have, you know, the patience or the drive to even be able to do anything that I should be doing as far as I should be for the family. And, you know, when it comes to the kids and then, you know, cooking and things like that. So I dabbled in that and did pretty well. You know, not great, but chased around friends and family.
Sure.
You know, did okay, made about $1,500 a month, which for me, that's all the income I was just trying to replace. I had no idea that this whole home-based business world had just this income potential. All I was looking to do was just replace a measly $1,500, $2,000 a month income. Yep. You know, so I could stay at home with the kids. And I started seeing, wow, you know, there are people out there making $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 a month, and that really opened up my eyes. And it, you know, I drove the business online and decided, wow, okay, I've got to start building this business online, and that's where kind of my journey began, was online. And you know, I leveraged systems, you know, leverage, just like we leverage MOBE here. You know, I didn't want to have to create my own products. I didn't want to have to create capture pages. I didn't have the technical skills to do that. So, and I didn't want to call leads. I didn't like talking to people on the phone. So leverage was big for me. And once I realized that and started leveraging the right systems, within 6 months of discovering the online world, I had hit that $10,000 mark, and it just kept growing, you know, from there each month, 10,000, maybe 10,500 to 11,000, but stayed there consistently. And about a year later, and I'm going to let Bill jump in from there because his story's amazing, but he left corporate after a year of discovering that.
Yeah, so it was quite interesting for me, and it's funny, Michelle, you know, talks about how she kind of went back, you know, trip down memory lane yesterday and what she used to do. I was actually thinking the other day about my sales background, and I think back to when I was a little kid, and we'd always have fundraisers. So like for my Little League baseball team, we would sell candy bars
I remember
to
that.
raise money for our league and for our team. And I would go door to door throughout our neighborhood, and I would always win like these contests, because they didn't have a formal contest, but they had a contest. Like some kid would end up selling the most. I would always sell the most candy bars, just going door to door. And I didn't think anything of it at that time, other than I just thought I just wanted to sell a lot of candy bars because I wanted to raise money and help our team and so forth. And then, you know, fast forward to my early 20s. I took a year off from college, and I had to find a job, and I ended up getting a job selling Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door. So I found myself once again doing a door-to-door sales thing, which I never thought I would be doing, but I was really good. I actually sold 21 vacuums my first month. I averaged about 20 every single month over the course. I did it for 13 months. I was one of the top Kirby vacuum salespeople in the state of Vermont and in that region. And obviously selling Kirby vacuums was not going to be my final destination, but certainly it was an amazing launching pad.
Sure.
If you can sell Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door, you can probably sell just about anything.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So, well, as much as I never thought that was very glamorous or all that great of a job, it was incredibly rewarding in a sense that I cut my teeth on hardcore selling. So that then segued into when I went into corporate America. I then did sales jobs, right? I was pretty much in telecommunications or the energy industry, or actually the online advertising industry, for about 16 years within corporate America. And I had various different sales and consulting roles. As I got later on in my career, the roles became a bit more glamorous. In the early stages, in my early 20s and mid 20s, even late 20s, they were somewhat unglamorous sales jobs, heavy, very phone intensive. Working in a call center environment, just hammering the phones, making 100, 120 dials a day type kind of environment. But that definitely really formed me and shaped, as far as from a developmental standpoint, from a sales skills standpoint, into who I am and where we are today. And so when kind of getting to where we are now, when Michelle got into the home-based business industry, at first I was a little skeptical and weary, and because I didn't really know anything about it, I was very ignorant to it all. But I was open-minded. All right, I certainly wasn't the type of husband who was going to squash what Michelle was doing and mandate that she do something different. That's just not my style. So I was open-minded and would observe and kind of watch what she was doing, and got a little bit more involved over time, and a little bit more involved, and a little bit more involved, and a little bit more involved. And it really got to the point where, like Michelle said, after her being online, doing this online marketing of the home-based business for about a year, is when I walked into my boss's office and said, hey, thanks for everything, but I'm out of here. So walked away from corporate America after 16 years to come home and work side by side with Michelle. And we have very different skill sets,
Sure.
So we complement one another very well, in the sense that certain things Michelle does and is really good at, I don't even really touch, and then vice versa. There's certain aspects of our business that I'm really good at that Michelle doesn't really play much of a role in, and we have these kind of different roles within our business. I mean, just like in a real business, you might have the marketing department and the sales department and the finance department and the HR department, and they don't cross over into one another. They're separate entities. Well, Michelle and I, to a certain extent, run our business like that. There's just certain things that I do each and every day, and certain things that she does each and every day. And I'll be in the office and she'll be in the living room. We Skype one another. We'll have Skype chats. It'd be like she was in Cleveland and I'm in New York City, and we're in a business and we're Skyping. Like, this is how we run our business. And so it works really well, though. And obviously we've been able to. We're fortunate that it's worked well. We've been able to have a lot of success, and we just keep moving forward and trying to get better and better with what we do.
When did you leave corporate America? Bill?
When or
2000 and
it was September 2011.
Oh, okay. So then, Michelle, you were already kind of cranking through the business and coming in. Obviously, at that point when Bill maybe jumped in, right?
Yeah. I started in March of 2010. So I did the network marketing, as I mentioned before. Pounding the pavement, friends and family, handing out samples, basically alienated everybody on Facebook. All of our friends were blocking us. All of our friends were deleting us. Nobody wanted to hang out with us. You know the story. I'm sure a lot of people here can relate to that. And then in August of 2010, I found a system at that time to basically, teach me how to generate leads. And from there, just started generating leads. Now, here's what's interesting is, when Bill talks about how we complement each other, I had all of these leads that I had generated but wasn't really converting them because I didn't want to get on the phone. I was terrified of the phone. So when he says, he's amazing when it comes to communicating with people and talking to people and, finding the right fit for them when it comes to helping them build their business. He's great. He's a great salesperson, and I can see why he did so well in his, corporate America and doing Kirby and selling candy bars. I can totally see that. But so it was great because it just really excelled the business and really created that more momentum, because what I was lacking, he was able to definitely come in and take over that part of the business, and that's when we really started seeing massive results in our business. But yeah, for me, it wasn't, it was decent income, for that first year, but it was enough to, like he said, to be able to say, hey, we definitely could be working this together and make this bigger. So about a year later.
Yeah, part of the I guess the motivation for me was, I was getting up for work every single day, and I worked in a corporate environment, so and like most people probably, I had to get up, I had to shower and shave and not put on a suit, but put on nice dress clothes, kind of corporate-y dress clothes for work, and so I'm getting up every day and doing this routine, and as I'm leaving for work, Michelle's sitting there on the couch in her PJs and her little flannel pajamas under a blanket with her laptop on her lap, and she's like, okay, honey, see you later, and she's kind of typing away doing stuff, and I'm like, how could she's making money doing this, and I'm sitting here schlepping off to work, and I got to deal with 45 minutes to an hour of traffic right now before I even get to work, and I got to deal with the office politics and the boss and the boss's boss and the boss's boss's boss, and things that were out of my control. And it was interesting is that it didn't take me too long after Michelle started, and even having a little bit of success, for me to be open-minded to it. Right. But there was always the whole question of, okay, so first of all, could we do this together? Would we be compatible just to work this together at home? The second question was, can we afford that? Can we afford because if I quit my job, I give up that salary, those commissions, the healthcare, the insurance, the benefits, the 401k. There's a lot there, and so there was a large element of risk there. Right. But I remember very clearly, I believe it was maybe July or summer of that year, of 2011, that it was the first month that Michelle, from at home in her PJs, made more money that month than I made, going to work. She cleared more income coming into the household than I did. And that's when I said, okay, there's something a little wrong with this picture. She's making more money in her flannel PJs from home on the sofa than I am from dealing with all this nonsense. And that was obviously a big, kind of turning point that made us think, okay, we can do this. I mean, we can do this from a compatible, because we had many talks late at night, all these late night talks out on our back patio. We would talk about this, and we realized the compatibility element was there, but there was still that risk element. But that month that she made more money than I did, it was just kind of like, all right, we just got to take the plunge. We got to do this. And coincidentally, there was some funky things happening at work in my work situation, which were less than desirable, and that just kind of happens. But I think for a lot of people, when you have these less than desirable things at work, maybe you just have to just suck it up and deal and push through it. And I had done that for 16 years, but I kind of got to a point where I'd seen that there's something else. I was like, you know what? I don't have to just suck it up and deal with this crappy work situation. I could just quit and work this business, with Michelle, and because I got to the point where I was like, I don't need to be tied down to corporate America to earn an income like I always thought I had to be. I was raised thinking you gotta get good grades, you can get into a good college, you can get a good job, so you can then work for a good company and work there your entire life and hopefully retire at 60 or 65 or whatever. It's kind of that was kind of what people were raised, to think. And it definitely got to a point where I was like, you know what, enough is enough. I don't need to have this job. I don't need to come here every day and deal with this stuff. I can make money, make a living doing it, my own way and on our own terms. And so that was the driving point, and that's kind of how it all happened.
What do you think your why was then? Was it family based? And I know for Michelle, for you, I know that's a major part of what drives you. So Bill, what was that drive to finally make that jump outside of the income opportunity?
Well, so they talk about the big motivators that people have. You kind of either move towards pleasure or you move away from pain.
Correct.
For me, it was almost a healthy combination of both. I was trying to move away from the pain of the corporate America gig that I was in, and all the BS stuff dealing within the office, and just all the crap that goes along with it. But then moving towards the pleasure, the pleasure part was just the ability to have a bit more freedom, and to build this business together with Michelle, to work side by side together, and as we talked about, we complement one another. So for her to do her thing, me to do my thing, but for us to do it collectively and really build something. So the why was there's a very family oriented element there for us. As a man, as a husband, as a dad, there was this provider instinct within me that is always there. But it was also more just wanting to have freedom. I didn't, again, at that time, and Michelle, she talks about this, it wasn't like we had this huge motivation, like we want to be millionaires or we want to earn $100,000 a month. It wasn't like this monetary milestone that we were trying to achieve, and that's what was pushing us. It was more just this pursuit of freedom and happiness, and to be able to live our life financially where we're comfortable, where we're okay, like we're set. I mean, we can afford what we need to afford, but to be able to do that on our own terms, that's really what was, I think, more important than anything. So to do it on our own terms, at our own speed, our own pace, when we want, wake up when we want, work when we want, and we trust me, we work hard. We worked hard, especially those first many years. We worked really, really hard. But when for me, especially as a sales guy, like to close someone in your own business is very different and much more rewarding than to just make a sale in corporate America.
Right.
Like anytime I was calling like our leads generated and referring them or recruiting them into one of our things, it was much more gratifying and personally rewarding than if I'd done a very similar thing, but I'm building the boss's company, right? When you're building your own thing, everything you do, it has much more, has much more pain, much more frustration, but the reward is 10 times what it is, or 100 times what it is if you're doing that same exact thing for someone else at a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. With you also talked about how you had a little bit of a skepticism on the front end, and how do you this is something that we as entrepreneurs deal with every day, because we're used to people having the mindset of you got to go to college, you got to get a good job, you have to go through these certain steps to have quote unquote success in life. So how do you think that that's helped you grow your business, kind of going through that yourself, because that is a huge part of the conversion process? So how have you guys implemented those strategies into your story and how you went through that skepticism on the front end, that this can be a real source of income?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's funny, when I first started out, I did have that skepticism, but yet I kept, gravitating towards the people who were real, who were genuine, who were authentic, that I could actually touch and communicate with. Like, that was so important for me early on, because those are the people that, really kind of, restored that faith in me, because there were a lot of people out there that I felt that I would buy into and think that I'm getting XYZ product or getting XYZ training, and it just didn't come through, or it wasn't delivered, and so that skepticism starts to build. So I had found a mentor, early on, who I really locked arms with, and didn't look to that person to build my own business by any means. But look to that person for guidance, for mentorship, for mindset, things like that, the training that you need to keep moving forward in this business, because, we deal with it still today. There's skepticism all over the place. There are people out there, sadly, that are building their businesses unethically, that are not honest, that aren't real, that aren't genuine. It happens. And, Bill and I have made a commitment early on that we were not going to be that people. Maybe it doesn't appear on the outside, when people look at us and think, ooh, they're not crossing the finish line first. We were talking about this last night. We are. In the end, we are, because people come back to us day in and day out and say, thank you. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being authentic. We got taken advantage of, or we spent all our money, and because we weren't educated, we should have listened to you. And it's not just us. There are genuine, real people out there. I'm just trying to share with you kind of
Right.
how we've been able to overcome that skepticism with the people who, are going through it, and how we can help them, and then ourselves. But for me in the very beginning, and it's still going forward, it's always about, surrounding yourself with the people who are getting things done and building their businesses the way that you want to build it, that to where at night I can go to bed feeling really good about what I promoted today, or what Bill, maybe he writes a blog post or has written an email and is promoting something, and that we go to bed each and every night knowing that any kind of content of the things that we put out there are going to help people and change their lives.
Yeah.
And I think also, Nate, you've got to just, if you're dealing with skepticism from others, you've got to just put the blinders on and put your head down and ignore it. And I know that's easier said than done. It's a lot easier said than done. But the reality is, if you're involved in a business, whatever it is, and you've got other people out there doubting you, or is that thing a scam? Is that real? Are you really going to make any money with that? You just have to ignore that. You have to ignore that and keep moving forward and realize, what is the point of what you're doing? Think back to your why. Think back to why you got involved with this, and really amplify that why. And if it's to gain, to quit your job, to fire your boss, to maybe give your kids something more than you had growing up, or to spend more time with family, to get time freedom back, whatever it is, it's all good. But just amplify whatever that is. Ratchet that up. Turn the volume up on your why and turn the volume down on the naysayers. And because they're not going to do anything to help you. Michelle said, she locked arms with a great mentor. We both have locked arms with great mentors over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what goes along with locking arms with great mentors is unlocking from the people that are not there to support you or serve you, or who are trying to bring you down.
Yep.
And if that means that maybe there are some relationships that get, I don't want to say damaged, but if it kind of hinders some relationships, that might be a price to pay. And that's tough. But I'm not talking about severing relationships and, excommunicate yourself from the family. But, if you can put the blinders on and at least buffer out that negative noise and just ignore them. And don't feel you got to have a snappy comeback. Don't feel you got to say something, defend yourself, or say something to them like, oh, did you know that corporate America is the ultimate pyramid scheme? Get the CEO. There's all these different snaps. And certainly that, if that makes you feel better, I guess you can do that. But that's not really what matters here. What matters here is just putting on the blinders, putting your nose to the grindstone, and only really hearing the kind of things that are going to help you, serve you, support you, that are positive, and just buffering out the noise.
Yeah, exactly. So now, you guys are obviously doing very well with your online business, and I'm sure you have multiple sources of income at this point, kind of with your established business. So, I think the burning question that a lot of people have is, they look on Facebook and they see you guys are active in the community, and they see you're making all this money with, your high ticket affiliate marketing program with MOBE there. And so what are your days look like? What's your daily strategy? Like, what's your process at this point to actually keep the income stream coming in? I think a lot of people have still unanswered questions, is they don't really get this. Like, how are people doing this? What are they doing every day to actually get the cash flow coming in? Can you maybe explain, how your days work and how your systems work with that?
Yeah, I can speak from my end of the business, and then, Bill obviously will share his, but we stay very, very focused. When you talk about those multiple streams of income, I don't recommend that as a brand new person, and that's not what we did in the beginning. We focused on one thing, one business, one marketing method, until we mastered it, until we felt like, okay, we are ready to take on, another income stream. Because we know that it will help, our audience. We are very big on, and our marketing is very heavy on building our audience and building that know, like, trust factor with them, and getting to know them and listening to them. And we're not in, we don't like to, we're not going to lead with our pocketbook. If we see some hot little shiny object out there that's an offer, we're not going to promote it just because it's going to make us money. The only reason why we would promote it is because we've actually gone through it. So we've gone through MOBE. We know how it can change lives.
Right.
We're Diamond members. We know the value of it. So if we're going to put our brand next to something, you know, we have gone through it, we've given it the stamp of approval, and we're going to promote it. So, you know, as a brand new person, you know, that's really what we focused on, is that one strategy. So right now, you know, we sit down, you know, each and every week and we say, okay, what are we going to focus on this week as far as promotion goes? We are constantly, definitely in promotion mode, whether that means writing 2 or 3 blog posts a week. It's usually 2 blog posts a week. We will email our list. Bill will pretty much almost every day. I'm the marketer. So when I wake up, the first thing that I do is you know, I take a look at our Facebook ads. We constantly have an ad running that is either generating us leads or it's driving traffic to a blog post. And our third ad is, you know, building our fan base. So, as I mentioned, that audience is so important. So we have 3 ads always running: a likes campaign, an ad to get leads, and then an ad to get traffic to our, you know, blog post to kind of build that exposure, that know, like, trust factor. So I'm checking on those, you know, almost every single day. And then, you know, we're refreshing that up. You know, what blog post are we gonna write next? What kind of value can we, you know, put into the marketplace right now? You know, that'll paint this picture for people to realize that, okay, this is what I need now in my business, because, you know, we've touched on that pain point. So, you know, it's all about. Go ahead.
Well, so I think there's 2 ways to kind of slice this up, and this might not be the perfect way to describe it, but there's kind of 2 facets to our business, and it's kind of just popped into my mind as a way to describe it. So this is the first time I'm describing it this way, so if we end up describing it differently down the road, that's whatever. But Michelle's kind of like the front end, right? We got to get people to us. We got to get leads in the door, right? So she's doing that with Facebook and Facebook advertising, some of that Facebook advertising, like she says. We got to get people in the front end. They need to be exposed to us and become leads. We want to get them onto our email list, right? So that's kind of a front end role that Michelle really handles and drives most of that. Then there's a back end role, which is the content marketing, right? So now they've been exposed to us, and they're either a fan on our fan page or they're an email subscriber to our list. That's where I come in from the content marketing standpoint. And that content, just, you know, an email to your list, well, that is content, right? Blog posts, you know, that is content. Videos, that is content. You know, doing Facebook Lives, you know, which we're both doing, that's content. So that's kind of then the second half, or the back end part, if you want, which is what I mainly handle, which is through producing that content. But then it's kind of a cycle, because once then I produce that content, it then kind of goes back to Michelle again, because she'll then promote that content, and we can drive traffic to a blog post. So it's kind of this back and forth role, and, you know, that kind of maybe rounds out a bit more what I said earlier. We kind of have separate roles. We're almost like separate departments, you know, quote unquote, within our business. It's all marketing, but it's just different facets of marketing. You know, mine is the content marketing, hers kind of like the inbound, you know, lead gen and building a fan base, you know, marketing and driving traffic and all that. So that's what we do. And so for people listening right now saying, well, I'm all by myself, that sounds a little overwhelming. I'm by myself. I don't have a spouse that can do half of that. It's okay. You know, take it obviously step by step and a little bit at a time. And if you're sitting here thinking that you've got to create 4 or 5 blog posts a week, you got to all these other things as well, you don't have to. Right. You know, you could create 1 or 2, you know, really good blog posts a week, or 1 or 2 good pieces of content a week that you feel good about, and then the rest of your time do the other aspects. Do the aspects of growing your fan base, generating leads, getting people onto your email subscriber list, and so forth.
Yeah, I think you hit on absolutely. You hit on a really good point, and I'm just going to kind of decipher this for people to so it's clear. And what you're doing, Michelle, then is, so, you know, and I always like to go back to the 80-20 rule. You want to spend 80% of your efforts to bring you the thing that's going to bring money into your account, so to speak. So you're doing the front end aspect of your business. You're actually running those ads, and I like what you said. You're doing it every single day, which is consistency, because that's, you know, and a lot of people miss that. And so Bill, what you're doing then is you're doing the back end with the content, and I think a lot of people get tied up in that, and they feel like, well, they have to do that because someone told them to do it. But at the end of the day, you always need to be focusing on driving leads to your business, and what you guys have done is you've identified that, and you have a system, and it's reproducible, and every day you have constant leads coming in, and then I like what you said, Bill, where you guys are kind of feeding each other in that cycle. So, new leads come in, and then you provide the content, which then gives you more things to advertise and to bring that money into the business. So that's good stuff.
I also think, I think a lot of people, when I think back to when I was, first starting out, I was always on the hunt for the key, that golden key, golden ticket. I seriously thought that there were some people I followed back then that were having success, and I was like, how are they having success? This guy is like raking in money, blogging. How is this happening? I do a blog post and I hear crickets. Like, I don't get it. I would hear all this and I would see all these successful people, and I was like, where is this underground society? How do I get the key to get in? And I think we get wrapped up in trying to actually find that.
Yeah.
And so you student mode all the time, and you don't spend enough time. You try something, it doesn't work, so you give up.
Yeah.
You try something else, it doesn't work. Instead of perfecting the skill, if you're choosing to blog and you're not getting results, okay, you need to analyze why you're not getting results and figure out how you can get results. What are you doing? How do you move your business forward to get those results? And I think we get stuck in student mode, and I did that in the beginning. Yeah. And one day I realized, okay, there is no secret society. Yeah. What it is you get to work. Yeah. You get to work and you focus on building your list. And that is what we've always focused on. How do we build our list? Your money is in your list. And, and to go beyond that now, because open rates are kind of low now with the emails. Yeah. And all the features that Gmail and everybody has. So where else can we go? All right, we'll build our fan base, because people are on Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on. And then you just target them with your message and a Facebook ad. So if Bill's sending out an email, I'm going to turn around and write a status update similar to something he said in that email promoting whatever he was promoting, and I'm going to go and I'm going to put that ad or that status update in front of our fans. Right. So it's always about our focus is, build that audience and build the list and just pump a value into it with a really strong call to action at the end of each and every piece of content we put out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's golden, and that is the secret. Everyone's always looking for the secret, and what I've learned from just knowing you guys the past 6-7 months now is, you practice what you preach with that, and yeah, there really is no secret. All you're doing is engaging, and people, you hit the nail on the head. When they like and trust you, they'll buy from you, and that's it.
Yes.
You're constantly doing the work. You got your head down. You're interacting. And then, people want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So that's great. So now with now you guys are. I like what you've created this lifestyle and this business as entrepreneurs, and a little of that is now rubbing off, so to speak, on your children. And I know that your daughter has a pretty successful little business going using Facebook too. So maybe can you talk a little bit about that and how that came to be?
Yeah, it started with a passion. And she, a couple of years ago, she's just she's 17 now, but I guess she was 16 back then, or 15. She's just a very passionate child, and one of the things that she discovered was the whole world of being vegan. Mm-hmm. And she became very passionate about that once she started studying, what it means to be vegan and what it means, how she can help the environment, the people, just the animals, by being vegan. And that for her was huge. She realized one person can make a huge difference, and she became very passionate about that. So we made the decision a couple of years ago, I did with her, to go vegan. And I said, you know what, Megan, you should create a fan page. If you're so passionate about this and you want to get your message out there, instead of, hounding your friends with this and making, and your 15-year-old friends don't understand why she's not eating Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, how about get your message out to the world? And so she created a Facebook fan page because that's, one of the easiest things that you can do, in my opinion, if you want to get your message out. Yeah. And she did. She created a Facebook fan page. She has over 120,000 fans now, and less than 2 years.
Wow.
She has surpassed us.
I saw that, yeah.
And with the help of me running Facebook ads, but all she focuses on is just spreading that message. And just recently, we have gotten mentorship to help put together a really good funnel for her. We knew what we wanted to do, but it's all about, again, sometimes you have to just plug into mentors, to help you see what you can't see in your own business.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we did. We took her out to California, and we sat down and we put a funnel together for her. And she's making money. She'll make a couple of $1,000s a month, doing what she's doing right now with her page. But again, it all really started with just being passionate. And I think a lot of people miss that in their own business is, we get into this with the mindset of I need to make money.
Yeah.
That's not going to keep you in business. If you are in the mindset of I just need to make money, like I get it. I get that you may be behind on your mortgage. You may be losing your car. You can't, afford the things that you want to be able to afford. I get that. But you've got to attach yourself to something that you are truly passionate about, meaning you're a product of the product, you enjoy using the product, because once you start, if you're doing the method that we use, where it's building that audience and you're doing social media, you've got to be able to speak about it and truly be passionate. So like if you hear me talk about the vegan page, or if you hear our daughter, talk about it, you'll hear that passion and you'll believe it, and because it's real. I'm not saying that we're trying to trick you, but it's real.
Right.
And that's with anything. Bill and I are very passionate about helping people succeed online because we know what works. We know the vehicles that we use, like MOBE, can change people's lives. We are a product of the product. We're about to cross $1 million. Couple of months in, we've had a couple of $100,000 months. It's insane. But we are so passionate about that, and I think that you have to have that for people to hear that, and so they can believe you, and they say, yes, I want to work with you because I hear that passion behind your voice.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and again, all this, and this is the testament to what you guys are doing. All this that I know and what I've learned from you is just from you guys doing your jobs on Facebook and social media and just kind of putting your story out there and being transparent. So that's awesome. So yeah, whatever you're doing is working, obviously, because you're, myself being part of your audience and part of the people that follow you. So that's great. With you hit on something too that's a common theme that all of the top earners in MOBE are talking about lately, and it's kind of I know John Chow talks about this. Shakir has talked about this. You guys talk about this. It's called you said try it first. It's more believable. And I think that's really important in our business, online marketing, selling high ticket programs for business education and growth. But, you've actually put your money where your mouth is, so to speak, and you actually are a student of the product itself before you can turn around and then offer it to people. How important do you think that is in not only this business, but in business at large, to be a student of the product instead of just selling something that you don't use yourself?
I think it's extremely important. For example, when Matt and MOBE first rolled out the Diamond program, we said, yeah, absolutely, we're in. We jumped at that opportunity. And it was for a couple reasons. It's because, A, we saw the value in it, and we realized we wanted to have this within our business and as part of our arsenal, so to speak. It would really enhance everything that we already had, so it was a no-brainer in that regard. Mm-hmm. But B, it's the whole practice what you preach. I mean, how can we sit here and tell someone else? Yeah. It's like the whole, do what I say, not what I do. Yeah. That doesn't work. Right. Well, I didn't particularly get involved in it, but I think you should. Yeah. I mean, how many people are going to then say, oh, sure. I mean, no, they won't. So no one's going to do anything that you're not already doing or haven't done yourself. And so when you lead the way, you do run the risk of having some arrows in your back when you lead the way. Yeah. That's just a part of life and a part of business. But when you're leading the way, you're paving the path that others can then follow, and they'll see that because you led the way, it's going to make it an easier decision or an easier transition for them. So we have always, and it wasn't necessarily like by design or like this long thought out strategy that we adhere to. It's just kind of just how we've done it and who we are. But when we get into something, we get in. We get in. We dive in head first. We don't we don't dangle our toes in the pool. We dive in off the diving board into the deep end, and we do a big, huge, cannonball when we splash. I mean, we're like the opposite of dangling our toes. I mean, when we first got into MOBE, we really kind of got into it, just kind of like wondering, what really is this? What's it all about? Like, it wasn't a ton of, we didn't do like all this online research first. And we just kind of got in, and within like 3 or 4 weeks, we were already positioned at platinum. And then as soon as diamond came out, we got positioned at diamond. So, I think that we do it for ourselves because we just feel that it's important for us to be in 100% of something if we're going to do it, because you're going to get then 100% return on it. As much you'll get 100% of the possible return if you're 100% in, 100% vested, 100% just involved and passionate about it. So we do it in that regard for ourselves. But it's also about who you're speaking to, your audience, and the message. Because, consumers are not dumb. Consumers are very savvy. And just with the internet now and a quick little couple clicks on the keyboard, they can pretty much find out the information they need. They can pretty much tell where you are within a program or not, if you're promoting it or not, or if you're all in or not, or if you're really involved in it or not. They can see that. And if they see that you're kind of only half in, then they're going to probably do a little more searching, and in 3.5 seconds find someone who is all in, someone else, right? So, you run the risk of losing people if you're not diving in 110% and getting all in.
Sure.
Because if they're thinking themselves, well, I resonate with Steve, but I see that Steve's only sort of half promoting it. Now, I would have loved to have joined Steve, but I see Susie over here is all in. And while all things being equal, I would have rather shown Steve, Susie's all in, and she's promoting it. She's going gangbusters, so I guess let's join Susie instead, right?
Yeah.
Well, Steve just lost a potential customer because he's not all in.
Right.
So I think that that's the message that people have to realize, is that you're doing it for yourself, but it's also it's that what you're projecting out there to the world, to your audience, to your potential prospects, to your potential future teammates. They got to see that you're 100% in, invested, and all committed.
Yeah, and this isn't a hobby, for us. And if it were a hobby, we would be earning a hobby income.
Right.
And I think a lot of people treat their business like a hobby.
Yep.
It is a business. It is an investment. Where else can you go, out there that's not online and invest in a business as inexpensive as what we have invested here in MOBE and get the kind of return that we've got.
Absolutely.
So, you're going to run across people that get into this industry that have just lost their job. They're broke. They're living on the streets. We get all kinds of stories.
Right.
And they want to work with us and they want to make $1 million online. It doesn't work that way. You have to come into this with the mindset of, I am a business owner. I'm going to buy into this business. This is my vehicle, and I've invested all this money into it. Now it's time to go to work, and let's start making it profitable. And, for me, I see it all day long. People invest in like MOBE, for example, and then they quit, because they get, poisoned by doing too much, research, where you're going to find negativity on any company out there. Any company, I challenge you to research. You will find negativity if you ask for it.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. If people are successful in it, then it works. That's all that's how I look at it. That person's successful in that company, it obviously works. Now let's go to work and figure out how we're going to make this successful. And you have to do that, and you have to wake up every single morning and show up for work. You have to treat it like, it is, you are the CEO, you are the owner of this company. How are you going to move this business forward? And what are the actions that you need to take each and every day? What is that game plan? What does that picture look like? What are you going to do to move your business forward each and every day? And that's what we do, is we say to ourselves, all right, how do we do this? How do we move it forward today? And, gosh, I just couldn't imagine investing what we've invested in MOBE and just walking away from it. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's your investment. That's like investing into a nice little coffee shop in your local town and just saying, no, let's just walk away from this.
Yeah.
No, I can live with myself knowing the money I invested in it. I'm going to make it work. And that's the mindset you have to take.
Yeah, and there definitely is a direct correlation between, and we see that, and I'm looking at stats like that every day, there's a mindset shift when you do invest more in a company, because then it's time to put your head down and go to work and get serious. So yeah, so it is no surprise that those who, treat it like a real business, put up their, investment and look at it as an investment in their education and their personal growth, professional growth, and then they end up seeing the returns in the back end, obviously with a very high ticket compensation plan. So no, that's good. So one last thing, and I've gotten a lot of people asking me about this. This is a really important question. They want to know about your new family addition, little fella known as Mr. Gus. So tell us about that, and what's with the craze now with what is he, a gerbil or a guinea pig? Right.
Well, there's a newer edition.
We haven't. Gus needed a friend, so we had to get Gus a friend.
Oh, that's right.
So Gus is our girls and I volunteer at an organization that basically we take care of. We feed the cats, we clean the cat boxes, we play with them while they wait for their forever home. So these cats have been rescued from high kill shelters. So the fosters take them in and they get them healthy. Sometimes they're pregnant mamas, whatever the case is, they get them ready to be adopted. And so that's where we come in. And we take care of these cats. So at the place that we do this, they also have like other animals up there, like guinea pigs. Okay. And so our youngest is 14. We would go back and we would, take the trash out, fill up the water buckets for the cats. There was this one little guinea pig who had two friends in the back of the store. The friends were gone, and this one little guinea pig was left by himself. And I'm not kidding you, he looks like a prairie dog. And we would go back there. He was a brown guinea pig, all right? Now, most people, when they get a guinea pig, they want the colorful, cute, fluffy ones. Well, this seriously looks like and you can see it on our page. If you go to our page and you want to see Gus. He looks like a prairie dog, and he has a cowlick on the top of his head. He is so stinking cute. And he had been there for like 3 weeks, and every time we'd go back, our youngest would be like, aw, if he's here, I want to get him. And I'm like, Bill is not going to be cool with that. He's not going to be cool. So one day, Bill came with me to take care of the cats. Now, he's highly allergic to cats, so he has to stay out of the room.
Stay like 20 miles away.
So we go to the back of the store, and I say, look, this is what Kinsey is just in love with. And so we pulled Gus out of the cage, and I was holding him, and he was making those little squeaky noises, which is just so stinking cute. Yeah, I'm not going to put this animal down. He's got to go home. Bill's like, really?
So long story short, we adopted Gus, who is now the first guinea pig, and that was this wonderful, awesome thing. And then we started doing research on guinea pigs. It turns out they need to have a friend.
Or they'll get depressed.
Otherwise, they get depressed and sad and lonely. And if you leave on vacation, they're by themselves. I mean, just like they go into depression. So I'm like, what? I go, you didn't mention anything about how you need to have like a buddy or a partner. Well, lo and behold, after a week or a couple weeks, I guess, Gus, he was kind of, sad and listless and bummed out. And so they ended up going back, and there was another one. So now we have Gilbert as well. So Gus is a buddy. We have now 2 guinea pigs up there who have this huge mansion. They bought this huge, enormous home online. These guys they're living it up, man.
They're like a loft upstairs. They got a ramp, they go up. Yeah.
As far as guinea pig standards, their house is nicer than like our own house, like for human standards, right? They're living in the lap of luxury. But Gus and Gilbert, they're
big buddies now. They love each other. They're not depressed.
They play chase and do all these funny things with each other. It's pretty fun.
That's awesome.
It's hilarious.
You guys have just like you did with your business. You went all in with guinea pigs, so that's good to see.
Exactly.
Yes, we tend to do that.
Well, great guys. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And we always look forward to more insights from you as you guys continue to grow and develop. And I will be in touch with you very soon. You guys are again creeping up on $1 million in earned commissions with your MOBE affiliate program that you guys are a part of. So I will be chatting with you real soon. But again, we appreciate your time, the whole affiliate community and online entrepreneurs everywhere. So it's good chatting with you, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you very much, Nate, and we appreciate you and everything that you do as well for the affiliates within MOBE. So thanks for all you do, and thanks for your time today. We hope this was beneficial and we provided some value for the audience here today.
Awesome. All right, thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, see ya.
Bye-bye.